What's up, Soul Family? Coming at you with another collective reading. This one's gonna be on. We got two. We have Older Man and Feather. So, Older Man is dealings or relationships with an older man, and Feather is someone you know is independable and insincere. Undependable and insincere. So, that being said, if you're interested in a one-on-one reading, until September 22nd, they're gonna be $20. During that session, it's going to be about 20 minutes. You can ask whatever question you want, or I can simply pull and see what comes out. If it doesn't resonate for one reason or another, then I'll refund you. That being said, let's jump right in. So I'm going to pull like maybe a couple more tea leaves. I like pulling about 3 after we get the topic and kind of seeing where it goes. So we have 2. Let me grab one more. We have Spear with heartache over what you no longer have. Diamond with you'll be receiving or giving a precious gift. And then last but not least, let me grab one more. We have Inkpot with problem to be resolved. So maybe it's a matter of you giving something up, but then unexpectedly you gain something. And maybe it feels frustrating, like while you're having to give whatever it is up and like, you know, pass it up in the moment, but maybe you'll end up getting something else in the longer run that's beneficial to you. And then we have the 3 of Wands and the Judgment card. So for whatever it is, I feel like you're being called to trust like whatever you're giving up. Maybe it's a connection to somebody and you're having to like move on from it because they are like somebody who's not, you know, sincere or close. Or not sincere and close, sincere or dependable. Maybe it's the energy of having to kind of like move on from them and trusting that whatever connections you're going to build after you move on from them is going to lead you to better. The experience I've kind of had was after I've kind of like distanced myself a little bit from some individuals, I ended up having different people pop into my life. And so sometimes the gift that we get is being able to align with people who are a little bit more aligned with our experience versus people who are going to cause us conflict or take away from our peace. And then we have the Temperance card. So I'd like to say that whatever this is, like maybe a couple things. Maybe you're being called to be very patient with yourself, like while you're transitioning through this. A lot of times we tend to get really flustered while we are kind of releasing certain things, and we kind of get like a little bit in the mode of trying to maybe release something too soon. And maybe this is a call to be as gentle with yourself as possible during this process. We don't always have to kind of just like jump and then end things. We can allow ourselves to kind of let go of things slowly and gradually as it benefits us versus doing something in a way that might cause shock to us. That, and then in that exact same breath, what Temperance also makes me feel like is the connections that are going to come in are going to make you actually feel connected. You're actually going to feel like at a soul level, like these bonds and these interactions at a deeper level than you might have with the prior connections that you were entertaining. Like with Temperance, I feel like whoever it's going to be, it's actually going to be sincere. That's actually going to be really, like, sometimes we are energetic matches to people temporarily, and sometimes we are deeper energetic matches to people in the longer term. And then we have the 4 of Cups. So I think the other day I heard this quote where sometimes we choose people that don't choose us, and the people that are choosing us, we don't end up choosing. So maybe there are individuals who you can interact with and people who you are able to like build bonds and connections with, but you're not necessarily seeing that in front of you. And then in that exact same breath, maybe you're very frustrated and discontent with the ones that you are experiencing so far. So I'm gonna see what we're expecting to kind of get, because it did also mention like a gift coming into our experience. So I'm gonna see in what area that's from. So the card that fell out was the King of Cups. So I'd like to say that whatever gift this is, it might be something that's more energetic. Maybe it's something that's going to make you feel a lot more connected, or feel a lot happier, or feel a lot more ease in your experience. The King of Cups, yes, is a card that points towards having emotional intelligence and kind of like navigating sometimes through difficult things with grace. But sometimes it points towards, I feel like, it's the energy of being able to be fulfilled by it. Because the King of Cups is also something that points towards like how we connect to our bonds, how we connect to our emotions. So I think like whatever it is, it's going to be like really fulfilling. It's going to like really make you kind of connect at a deeper sense. I'm not really sure if I'm kind of explaining like what I'm trying to get at properly. Like whenever I think about the King of Cups, when people have a good sense of their emotions, right, and they have a good identity and they have a good way of relating to their emotions, they're able to feel and sense and connect to things deeper. So I think like whatever this is going to allow you to feel whatever connection's coming in deeper, I think, or it's going to allow you to experience feeling a lot more fulfilled or connected at a deeper level, if that makes, I guess, better sense. So yeah, it could be that with whatever these interactions were, it's like the Five of Swords energy, like where you are clashing with individuals, or maybe there's like just an energy of, maybe there's like sometimes it's the energy of picking and choosing your battles. It's like instead of even engaging with individuals who don't have the capacity to understand you, it's simply navigating away from those interactions. So maybe it's the energy of there have been like altercations, there have been disagreements, there have been interactions that were a little bit adverse, and maybe now it's just a call to kind of walk away versus continue to fight back and forth over these things. And sometimes that allows us to simply be at more peace. Instead of having to argue with people over things, you're just enjoying whatever your experience is. Then we have the Seven of Cups. So sometimes when we are entertaining things like too many different connections what we don't really need to be putting energy or time towards, it could leave our energy scattered. It could leave our focus and our attention scattered. So maybe it's the energy of picking and choosing a little bit better, picking and choosing wiser, or at least knowing that you have alternative options out there compared to what might have already been presented. It could also represent the energy of somebody who it's like maybe we were seeing them in like in a very illusory way. Like maybe we weren't like paying attention to the core of them. Maybe we were paying attention to like the illusions that they were presenting. So it could be a combination of I think all of those sometimes, like when cards pop up. I'll pull a couple more and we'll go from there. So then we have the King of Swords and then the Oracle card. So this could be a couple things. Maybe you were somebody who was communicating like really directly, really clear. Maybe you had like a lot of intention like with how you were communicating. You're very articulate. You're very good at wording what you needed. And it still came across as like a really frustrating interaction. Like I've seen this card pop up many times for me in my experience. Like I think this card pops up sometimes when I'm kind of like, I've had experiences like where it's kind of like, what do I have to do to get through to another person sometimes? Where it's like, I know I'm speaking clear English. I know I'm talking directly to another person. I know that I'm not muddling my thoughts, and I know I'm articulating the thoughts that I have very clearly, and I'm not being obnoxious. I'm not trying to be, rude or anything. So sometimes I feel like when we have these interactions, it can come across very frustrating because it's kind of like, what's happening here? It's like you're almost like shouting to the sky, like what's going on? But I think sometimes like with the, I'm sorry, I'm like dropping half the deck just now, but sometimes it really is just the energy of having to just walk away from battles and just not deal with the frustrations that come with certain interactions or certain individuals. I'll pull one more card and we'll go to the bottom of the deck. And then we have the Devil card. So the Devil makes me think a lot about, it's similar to the Seven of Cups card. So, sorry, let me grab it really quick. So when I think about the Devil and the Seven of Cups, it really makes me think about the illusions that sometimes we are experiencing of people, the facade that people can put up, the faces that individuals might, and we all have different masks that we wear, but I think sometimes some people are more capable of being a little bit genuine or a little bit more authentic, whereas some people might not necessarily have that capacity, so they almost have to like put on these illusions about who they really are because maybe they have fear of it, maybe who they are isn't necessarily the best, maybe who they are might be rejected by the community, and maybe who they are is kind of just, you never know. Like it could be a combination of all these different things. But whenever I think about the Seven of Cups and the Devil card, initially when I thought about the Seven of Cups and the concept of illusions, the card that flashed in my mind was the Devil. So now that it's popping out, it's kind of why I went back and grabbed both of them. But let me see what's on the bottom of the deck. And then we have the Seven of Wands. So I'd like to think that you are in the perspective of being deserving of defending your perspective. Sometimes we can take needless offense. Sometimes we can jump the gun. Sometimes we can kind of be, in our head about things. But I'd like to think whenever the Seven of Wands pops up, it's a card that points towards you having a perspective that's actually worth defending. And again, I'm not saying that everybody has to always, you don't always have to be on the defense or look for conflict that will put you in the perspective of having to be in that energy. But sometimes we do have experiences and perspectives that are worth defending and that are worth standing up for versus allowing other individuals who haven't experienced or who don't know what's in our mind to dictate what our reality should be. But that being said, peace and blessings, and I'll catch you guys in the next reading.